See here. Dilip, as you can see here, I have actually mentioned what are the different Linux vendors here. Dilip, this is for you. See here, I have mentioned what are the differences between the Linux vendors. I already told you yesterday. We gone through. First, we have gone through what is the software and how are the softwares classified. Yes, remember, like system software and application software. And later, the system software. The main example for the system software is the operating system. Okay, operating system means Windows operating system, Linux, Unix, everything of the system software. Okay. Later after this we even saw what are the different classifications. We saw even the different classifications. OS, how do is classified? Single user, multi-user, okay, single tasking, multitasking, okay, GUI based, UI based, and even say client based and server based operating system. Okay. Later we got to know about the history, how Unix came into existence, how Linux came into existence. Was the next thing we have taken care. Okay, I think you remember all these things. Okay, you can respond. History of Unix and Linux. Later we have gone through what are the components of an operating system. Means what is the component of a Unix or a Linux operating system and what is it made of. As you can see here, the Linux or Unix operating system and its components are actually divided into three: kernel, shell, and utility. Okay, we are just brushing up yesterday's thing. Okay, after we got to see what is the meaning of a kernel and what are the tasks of a kernel. Okay, this is the architecture of a Linux operating system. This is the architecture where kernel is over the hardware, shell is over the kernel, and other applications are installed over the shell. And what is the first primary task of a kernel? What is the primary task of the kernel? Who are connecting? Who are the users connecting? Logging and all will be taken care by the kernel, user management. Okay. And whenever the user is connecting, he's going to do some of the tasks. What is the task the user going to execute? These are called processes. Okay, these are called tasks executed by a user on an operating system are called processes. Okay, and each process to be executed needs two things. It needs memory to be allocated, here which I have highlighted, and at the same time CPU, means central processing unit. These both to be there. Who is going to take care of all this? Kernel is going to take care of all this. The user are executing different tasks, and for each task, kernel creates a process and allocates some memory. This is the task of a kernel. Okay. One more thing. Coming to the third, what is the meaning of this time sharing between processes? Okay, Dilip. See, in a system, and exactly in a system like Linux operating system or CentOS, any operating system, see here, there are the different tasks which are working in the background. This is the command to check which is the process status. PS means process status. Whenever I click here, PS-F, there are multiple processes which are executing in the background. This is the process ID of each and every process. Process ID, which are the process. Here, as you can see, there are around 8,000 plus processes shown here. In the last line, we can see 8,008 is the last process number we have seen. So, each process which is been executing in the background, each process which is executing in the background needs to be allocated to CPU. Okay, means there are 8,000 processes. Suppose in your system you have created 100 processes, and every process needs to be allocated CPU. Who is going to take care of all this? Any idea? Dilip, you can answer. Dilip, you can answer.
Yeah. So, I mean, through automatic process we can do, or we can allocate the.
This time sharing, because there is only one CPU, but there are 100 processors. Suppose processes. One CPU, 100 different processes. Who is going to take care of? Who is going to take care of this allocation? Means CPU has to execute to each and every. Time sharing between different processors, how the different processors are allocated on a CPU to be executed is all done by kernel. So now you got to understand user management, memory management task of the kernel, time sharing between the processes. So these are the tasks of the kernel. Process and CPU management is one of the tasks of the kernel. Kernel is going to take up how the CPU is managed, who is going to be allocated to the CPU, At what time? How much time? Time also will be executed by C kernel itself. Okay, this is the thing. Next comes shell. What is the shell? Shell is a command line interpreter. Interpreter means the commands user execute high level command. This language is not understandable by the kernel. Kernel understands only binary language. So shell is coming in between, taking care. It is actually interface between the user command and execution. So this is the properties of a shell. Shell is the command line executor and interpreter. Here you can see here user request. Okay, see here user request, which I am highlighting the pic. User request. We will see a small example. What is the properties of the shell and how the command execution taking place. See here. Surendra, any doubts, man? Are you okay? I'm just brushing up the yesterday's topic. Surendra, you can unmute and speak. Surendra, are you
Hello?
able to understand? Surendra.
Voice, my voice is here. Hear me?
Clear. Yes, clear to me.
Sir, I am joined little bit late, but no issue,
Oh.
sir.
Yes, see, what I'm doing is just brushing up the yesterday's topics itself. I'm just refreshing the same things. Don't worry. If you have any doubt, I'll start from the starting. Shall I continue from the starting or can I continue from here?
No, continue, sir. Now from here.
Okay.
Okay, no issue.
So yesterday, because Surendra, I'm repeating. See,
Okay.
yesterday we started whatever the class objective was. This is the class objective yesterday. We started because this yesterday was our first demo session. Class objective was what is the software and how the softwares are classified. Second objective was how is the OS is classified. What are the different kind of OS classification. Next, yesterday we saw what is how the Unix and Linux operating system came into existence. History of this. Okay. Next, after the history of Unix and Linux were discussed, we saw what are the components of a Linux operating system or the Unix operating system. Internal components, how they are distributed, how they are divided, like kernel, shell, utility, and user. Okay, these are the things we yesterday saw, right, Surendra? So we got to understand first thing. We got to understand different classifications of OS. OSs can be classified, operating systems can be classified as a single user, single tasking operating system. First classification example is MS-DOS. What is the meaning of a single user, single tasking? At any point of time, a single user can connect to the operating system, log in into operating system and work. And a single user at any point of time can execute only single process. Single process or a single task can be executed on that operating system. Example is MS-DOS, Microsoft Disk Operating System. Second classification is single user multitasking operating system. Means at any point of time, operating can support or connect login into one user, but the single user can actually perform multiple tasks. He can actually browse internet. He can actually execute his shell script. He can actually do manual tasks. He can execute seeing a video, audio, or any other thing. Multiple tasks. Okay. Later comes multi-user multitasking operating systems. Examples are Unix, Linux, and Windows. Windows Server OSs, not single OSs. Windows Server OS are multitasking and multi-user. Linux and our Unix operating system also come in this category. Okay. Yesterday we also saw operating systems are classified again as client operating systems and server operating system. And one of the main beauty, see here, of learning Linux is that Linux operating system can also work as a client operating system. At the same time, it can be configured to work as a server operating system. Same operating system, same software, nothing different. Configured as a client to use as a client OS, configured as a server, you can use it as server. But Unix operating system, Unix basically is a server operating system only. Okay, remember, Unix is a server operating system only. Linux is a client as well as server OS. Got it? Okay. Now we got to see Unix history, how it came into existence. First came Multics operating system, means multiplex information computing system. Next came the Uniplex information computing system, which is called as Unix, UNICS. Later came Unix, which was written 100% in C language way back in 1973. Okay, this is how the Unix came into existence. But The Unix which was created was the base. That 1973 version was the base of the core version. Later, this core version, this base of the core Linux kernel, Unix kernel, was taken over by different multinational organizations. Big organization adopted this operating system. That time it is a new kind of operating system, not like any other operating system existing before. So these multinational companies and research organization taken that same operating system and have enhanced it, and they created their own flavors. These are the different vendors here. As I have shown you, AT&T Bell Labs has created its own operating system in the same format of Unix, which is called as System 5 Release 3. Sun Microsystem taken the same Unix kernel, old kernel, core kernel, and created a Sun Solaris operating system here. IBM has also created its own operating system, AIX. Okay, HP also created. These are the different Unix vendors and their operating systems here, which I have highlighted. Okay, but what is the main problem? Though the original Unix operating system created in 1973 was distributed freely, these operating systems which were created by these vendors are not free operating systems. These all operating systems are licensed, means you need to pay for it, and these operating systems are optimized or built for the specific hardware, not that it can install on any. Sun Solaris, if you want to install on anything, you need to buy Sun Spark machines and then deploy. Okay, now we got to understand what is the Linux operating system, Unix operating system, vendors, and how it will came into existence. So now we will see history of Linux operating system. Linux operating system was actually developed by, first kernel of the Linux operating system was developed by Linus Torvalds in 1991 in Helsinki University. He distributed this Linux operating system kernel to Open Source Foundation, who have taken over the people, have distributed to other people or other scientists who has worked upon and created many user space applications on the kernel. And later all this clubbed together became the whole Linux operating system. Okay, and one of the main motto of the Linux operating system is from the open, it is open source and freeware. No need to pay for the code, no need to pay for the license, everything is free. Documentation, source code, and operating system all free. Okay, now you got to understand how the Linux operating system came into existence. Now we will see what are the Linux, like Unix distribution, what are the Linux vendors and other distributions. The original Linux operating system developed was taken over by all these companies like vendors like Red Hat, and the Red Hat developed their own operating system in the name that Red Hat Enterprise Linux or Red Hat Linux. SUSE is also a company. Ubuntu is also a vendor of Linux operating system in the name of Ubuntu only. Fedora is also an organization which actually supports Fedora operating system, Fedora Linux, CentOS. Okay, now we got to understand what are the Linux different vendors and distributors. Okay, now we will see from each vendor what are the different distributions available. See, as we got to know, Red Hat is one of the vendors, means he has taken the original Linux operating system, modified accordingly, and created his own operating system in the name of Red Hat Linux. Okay, is that Red Hat Linux distribution free, and what are the different editions available from Red Hat? Okay, see here, there Red Hat has designed two types of distributions in Red Hat also. In each Linux vendor like Red Hat, Ubuntu, CentOS, each has developed its own different editions. There are two editions in Red Hat. 3 editions is the first edition and commercial edition. 3 edition names start from Red Hat 1 to Red Hat 9. Okay, after that the 3 editions were named in the format of Fedora 1 to Fedora 33. What is the difference between a free edition and a commercial edition? As you can see here, point is 3 editions are free to use, you don't get support. Commercial editions are licensed and you get support if you have any issue. Okay, that is the only difference. Okay, okay, then one question comes, what is Red Hat RHEL? Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and version is current version, first latest version is RHEL 8, RHEL version 8. Here in this course we are going to learn our administration on RHEL 7 and RHEL 8. Okay, so I am showing you this is a CentOS operating system. What is the meaning here? What is this operating system which I have installed in VMware virtualization is CentOS. How to know which operating system is this? This is the way. This is the operating system name. What is the server operating system which I am using? CentOS Linux 7 version 8 7.8. Okay, Linux release 7.8 is the operating system on which we are going to learn all these administration topics. Okay, then I am actually training you RH. I am saying I am training you commercial editions of RHEL, but I am showing you CentOS. Okay, why I am showing? Why? What is the difference between a commercial edition of a Red Hat Enterprise Linux and what is the difference between a CentOS operating system, server operating system? Difference is only these things. See here. As you can see here, I am going to show you the repositories. This is where the softwares are stored. Here, this is the repository files which are actually working. This is the location. See here, we are having these repositories, CentOS. This is from where you online you install your applications, extra applications apart from the CD applications which are installed during the operating system. If you are using Red Hat Enterprise Linux, these repositories will be working when only you pay for license. Like this repository, you can see here. This is the command to list all the repositories. Yum list repo list. This is the repository. Repository is a location from where we install our operating system packages, different packages required for setting up different applications. These are the repositories available. Okay, any doubt you can actually raise in a chat box or you can unmute and talk. So these are the repositories. As you can see here, base repository is there from where the applications will be installed online. But if you are choosing Red Hat Enterprise Linux, these repositories will not work unless and until you register or you pay the license, then only it will work. Getting? That is the main difference. Using CentOS. CentOS exactly same as RHEL, but only thing is CentOS is totally free. Even the updates, patches and other applications installable on CentOS and RHEL are same, but all the software is free. You can download the software directly. You can use the yum repositories, create your own yum repositories online, and then update your operating system for packages, which is not free in RHEL. That is the only difference. Okay. And what is the difference between a free edition and a commercial edition? As you can see here, free edition, whenever the source code or any code is developed, any application is developed on Red Hat by the Red Hat team, will first be released as a free edition. See here, free edition first release. Later, that after the bugs are corrected in that free edition application, that will be released as part of commercial edition. Okay, that's the only difference. Okay, any doubts? Surendra, any doubts, man? Dilip, any doubts? Are you able to understand?
No, sir. No doubt, sir.
Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, fine. Chalo. So now you got to know. Okay, now you got to know what are the Linux distributions, and from each distribution what are the different way of edition, like free edition and okay. Now we will see the main important thing. So Dilip is asking a question. Can we import packages from other repositories? Yes, it is possible. Dilip is asking one question. See, Dilip is asking one question. Can we import packages from repositories? Yes, it is possible. We will see this. See here, in RHEL. Yes, it is possible. There are other repositories, free repositories like EPL, RPM Fusion, which we will be showing you when you are seeing the yum repository configuration. That time I will show you how to actually configure other repositories like online repositories like EPEL and RPM Fusion. EPL repository stands for Enterprise Extra Packages for Enterprise Linux, and next repository is RPM Fusion, where we will get extra repositories. You can see here Dilip, you can see here, these are the repositories, extra repositories. See here, already I installed on my system. These are the extra repositories for Enterprise Linux. Getting, Dilip? Dilip, getting? You are asking a question. Got it? Okay.
Yes,
These
sir, I
is
got
the,
it.
I will show you how to, when installing the RPM and configuring RPM yum servers, I will show you how to install extra repositories, not just the base repositories coming from CentOS. These repositories like RPM Fusion and EPL are the extra repositories which can be installed even in RHEL and CentOS, where you get to install extra packages which are present in these repositories. Okay. So now see, now we are coming to the most important topic. Till now we discussed what is the, how the Unix came into existence, how the Linux came into existence, all the history. That's not so important. But we are learning Linux administration, means we are actually, this Linux administration is suiting us. Means we can actually do using this Linux many things. And what are these features of the Linux operating system are these, very important. What is the main property of a Linux operating system is open source and open system. What is the meaning of open source? Open source means code is freely available. Source code is freely available. Open system means the source code which is freely available can be modified and according to our own needs and requirements. The functionality of the operating system can be changed accordingly. You can add new commands, you can add new utilities, you can modify device drivers, which is not possible in Windows. Okay, that is the main purpose of open source operating system and open system. Freeware, no need to pay for anything. Linux is a freeware, no need to pay. And even if there is a license, that is very minimal, not as good, not like Unix operating system flavors. As you can see here, Unix operating system vendors like these vendors. What is the main problem with this Unix operating system flavors which are shown here? These vendors which have used the original Unix operating system and created their own operating system, these are all licensed, very expensive, and these are hardware specific. Means you cannot install on all hardware architecture. They need to have specific hardware. Okay. But the beauty of Linux operating system, you can see here, beauty of the Linux operating system is it is freeware, means no need to pay any money or any license fees, and at the same time it is very free. Multitasking, multi-user means multiple users can work on the system and each user can execute multiple tasks. Platform independent means any hardware platform, Intel, AMD or any other hardware platform, Linux can be installed directly without any issue. Next property is programming facility. What is the programming facility? Is Linux has its own shell programming facility in the format of shell scripting. Okay, shell scripting is a programming facility where you can automate many of the tasks. Routine tasks can be automated, like taking a backup, setting out the system, or taking online things. Okay, all the help available, all the help, online help, all the help is available for Linux. Customizable means the functionality and the functionality of the operating system can be changed according to your own requirement. Okay. Portable, what is the meaning of a portability? It can be installed on any hardware architecture, and even if it is a same CentOS operating system and RHEL operating system, a configuration file, suppose you have installed a HTTP server, which is a web server in CentOS 7 operating system, take the same configuration file edited in CentOS, copy it to the Linux RHEL and work and just start the services. It just works as it is, no need to change. That also it is portable. Configuration, setup, settings are all portable. CentOS you take the same configuration and settings and put it into Red Hat Enterprise Linux RHEL, it will work the same. No need to change. Code is portable, hardware wise also it is portable. Main important thing, scalable. See, same operating system, the Linux operating system, CentOS or RHEL Ubuntu can be configured as a desktop operating system or a client operating system, and also as server operating system. Okay, server and client, no need to change any software, same CD, same software. You can install as a client, you can install as a server, so same thing. Next thing, reliable. Means if you once you deploy a server, HTTP server, Apache Tomcat server, NFS, Samba, DNS, DHCP, any application, reliable, no single second of downtime. It will work years and years without a single problem. What is the most important thing is this security, secure. Linux is very secure. How the Linux is very secure? Linux provides 3 levels of security. First is user level security, file level permissions. Means user level security means only authorized users or authenticated users can work on this system. Means a user requires username and password to log in. Later, what is file level permission? Though a file level permissions, using file level permissions will decide who can read, write and execute that file. A file is created by a single owner. If the file is created by a single user, that user can decide who others people can actually execute, read that file, write that file or execute that file. If the permissions are not given, other people cannot open or access the data. That way it is secure. And apart from that security, there are inbuilt firewalls. What is the firewall? This is called in Linux IP tables and dynamic firewall. Apart from that, there is a second level of firewall called SELinux, which is called Security Enhanced Linux. These 3 levels of security make Linux very secure. Okay, Dilip and Surendra. Any doubts, man? Now you got to understand why you got to understand what is the different features of Linux operating system and how is it actually different and better than other operating systems like Windows. Dilip and Surendra, you can unmute and speak. Dilip,
Yes, sir.
you got to know what is the features of Linux operating system, what is the specialty of this Linux operating system.
Yeah.
Now got na? So Surendra, I think you also understood. I am actually going for the next thing. Few of the questions can be raised like this. See here. What is the main difference between a Unix and Linux operating system? Any answer? Dilip and Surendra?
Actually, Unix, it was like it is before Linux. So some of the features are taken from Unix. So invented Linux. And
Okay, I'll tell you. Okay.
some
Tell
of
me.
the additional features also in
Added.
like kernel is modified in Linux.
Perfect. Okay, I will tell you the main difference. See, Unix operating system, though existent, is actually in the format of its flavors only. And all the flavors of Unix operating system like HP Unix, AIX, or Sun Solaris, or System 5 Init, all the operating system which were originally derived from the original Unix operating system 1973 version are all commercial and all are CUI based, not GUI based. And Linux operating system is a freeware, GUI based and CUI based. That is the main difference. Okay, Unix operating system is commercial, CUI based and server operating system only. But Linux operating system is a freeware, open source, same kind of. It is GUI based. It's supposed CUI based and it is GUI based also, and at the same time freeware. That is the main difference between a Unix and Linux operating system. And Linux operating system is a client OS as well as server OS. Unix is originally server OS only. Okay, that is why Linux is so popular. Second question, see here, I highlighted what is the Linux so popular, because it is client and server OS at the same time. It is free, open source, customizable, enhanceable, secure. Okay. Okay, now we will see what are the why Linux only. See, why Linux? See, one of the questions you can say why Linux only. Linux implementation, fresh APIs, Unix APIs, old APIs were all freshly implemented, newly implemented the APIs, all the original Unix APIs. Open source development model. Open source means anybody can contribute to the development of Linux operating system. Supports variety of hardware, very portable, supports many networking protocols and configurations, fully supported. If you are taking the Red Hat Linux, you are taking CentOS Linux, you get full support, okay, free of cost or with a minimum license fee. So now you got to understand what are the features of Linux operating system. So Dilip and Surendra, any doubts, man? Dilip and Surendra. And one more thing, I will show you command execution process. This one I have to show you. What is the command execution process? how this command execution process takes place. Small example, okay? See here. So one thing I'm showing you, find command is a command to search. It is equivalent to search command in Windows. Okay, it is equivalent to search command in Windows. Windows you open like this, na? See here. Windows anywhere if you open File Explorer like this, here search is there. Where if you type anything, you will get searching and all. Okay. The same thing in Linux, in Windows, same thing in Linux is done using command base, using find command. Find is a searching command. So what I am giving is I want to search for a specific file in my file system. Okay. Search for a specific file in my file system. File is file1.c. Where I don't know, I have created this file, but I just remember file1.c is the name of the file. I don't know where I have placed this. So now I am able to search it. Okay, this is one of the command to actually search it. And what is this, man? After find slash is from where the search has to start. Slash is from where the search has to start, and the name of the file to search is file1.c. And after that, if any output is coming, please print it. That is the option of -. Whenever I am giving this print find command and pressing enter, see this command, first what happens, this command, see here, but this command is executing in the background. This command is executing in the background. First this command is searched by the shell. If it is actually found, this find command will be searched, it is a valid command or not by the shell. If it is found in the path, the find command will be loaded into memory. Later, these options like slash name will be passed to the find command and the execution starts. And when the execution starts, kernel will create a process for this find command. See here. I am stopping this command so that I wanted to show you the process created for this find command by the kernel. See here. I have started a command or utility called find, which is here, but I have stopped it, paused it in order to show you that is executing. See here, kernel creates a process for each and every command which is executed by user. Kernel creates a process. Here you can see a process is created for that. This is C. See here, root is the user. Root is the user who has created a process, and the process information of this is, see, this is the process ID. This is the parent process ID. This is the parent process ID, which is the shell. This command was submitted at 2047. From which terminal? This is the terminal PTS1. See here, TTY command. From this terminal, which was dash DB PTS1. So here the process is to come. This command was executed from PTS1 terminal, and this is the whole command for which process is created. This is the owner of the process who has created root. What is the process ID? This is the process ID 9286. Getting? See, this is how the process is created. Then after the search command, see here, this command being executed. See here, this command is being executed. Now it will be searching for the thing. And until the search finishes, you can't type any other commands here, see. Because shell will go into, whenever this command is executing by the kernel, shell goes into pause state. You cannot use the shell to give another command here. You can't type anything and give another command until this command finishes execution. Getting? Dilip? Getting, man? Surendra, getting how command is being given, how the shell takes over, after that kernel is taking over, process is being created, and after the execution of command only the shell will be released. Until time the shell will not be released. See here. Dilip, unmute and talk. Surendra. Dilip.
Yeah. Sure.
You are getting what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm getting.
Surendra, what about you? Surendra, what about you? So this is how the command execution process takes place. I'll show you a pictorial implementation of command execution process. See here. See here. This is the pictorial representation of command execution process. A user root. See here. First thing you can see here. User is root. Root has given some command like mkdir, which is make directory or create a new directory in the name of Zoom group. That command will then go to shell. See here. We can see here. The command will go to shell. The command will go to shell. See here. Shell will take care of that command. Command goes to shell. Okay. Shell then will submit submit that command to Linux kernel, which is actually VM Linux. Kernel will execute that command on that hardware like searching and all. After everything is done, the output is given to shell. Kernel will again give it to shell. Shell will give the output to user. This is how the command execution process takes place. Got it? I think you got it, na? So now we will see. Okay, now you got it, how the command execution process takes place. So now we have done what is the kernel, what is the Linux operating system, what are the properties of the Linux operating system, and what are the tasks of Linux kernel. Everything we have seen. See, architecture of Linux, different vendors we have seen, Linux distributions we have seen, flavors and versions, and what is the different type. Now we will see, we have also seen the features of Linux operating system. Now we will see where the kernel, where is the Linux original kernel is. See here, wherever the Linux kernel, see, we can see here /boot, we can see this is the location. This is the location where the Linux kernel is located. One is a rescue kernel in case of any crash and other system event like crashes. This kernel should be used to recover the operating system, and one more kernel should be used in the normal mode. This is called the Linux kernel, written in the format of VM Linux. Linux kernel name, they will ask you. Linux kernel name is VM Linux. They will ask you what is the version of the current Linux kernel you are working, 3.0, 3.10. Okay. Okay. Okay, now see. Now we got to understand what are the features of Linux operating system. We will even see, we have also spoke about shells. And what is the current shell which you are executing? This is the how you execute shell. This is the environment variable which holds the current default shell. By default, this command is called echo, sorry. This is the shell. By default, shell is bash shell, which is born again shell. This is the location. Echo means is a printing command, like printf in C command. You want to print something. Echo is the command to print. Okay, I got it. Echo means not exho. It is echo. I have made a mistake here. Sorry. It is echo. Echo is a print command. Echo. This is a Linux class. This is the command. This will print the output like this. This is like a printf command in C. You can know. Okay, that is the command. And what is this $shell is the environment variable. What is a variable which holds some value? This environment variable shell holds what is the current shell. I already showed you different shells are available here. What are the different type of shells here? See here. I wanted to show you that, but practically in the system, where do you find the shell information is $shell environment variable, shell environment variable. See here. See here, this is what the kernels in Linux are. VM Linux kernel, which is the original kernel, VM Linux Rescue, which is the rescue kernel. And these are the types of shells available in Linux, 6 types. See here. These are the 6 types of shell. What is the shell? Base shell. Bourne shell was the original Unix shell. When Unix came into existence way back in 1973 and later, the shell used was Bourne shell, which is represented as SH, Unix default shell. But the Linux default shell is not Bourne shell, a bash shell. Bash is called born again shell, Linux default shell. See here, output here, see, bash shell, output see. Here I am highlighting. See here, this is where the original Linux shell is. By default is bash. Bin bash is the location, bash is the default Linux shell. That is what I was showing here. So there are other shells in the Linux also, like PCSH, CSH, KSH, no logging shell. We will know about all these shells later. If you want to know currently what are the shells supported, in current Linux etc shells. This is where we can get the information of the shells available apart from the bash shell here. Apart from the bin bash, there are other shells like sh shell, PCSH shell, CSH shell. C stand for CHS stand for C shell. CSS stand for Turbo C shell or 10x C shell. Okay, we will later. Okay. Now you got to understand features of the Linux operating system, and these questions are also all answered. What are the main differences between Linux OS and a Unix OS? Why is Linux so popular? Is Linux a client OS or server OS? Is Linux a CUI based or GUI based? Why Linux only? All the things. Okay. Now we got to understand. See, so new. See, Dilip is asking one question. Dilip is asking, what is the difference between a hash sign and a dollar sign? This is what Dilip is asking. See this. What is Dilip asking? This is the question Dilip is asking. What is the difference between, see, see, what is the difference between this hash and dollar sign is, see, this is the main difference. This is the question Dilip is asking. I want to just make it clarified. So I'm giving here. So see here, you are seeing it. This is a prompt. This is what is called command prompt. This is the shell terminal which are opening. See how to open a terminal in Linux after the operating system is installed. Just right click on it. Here we get a terminal. Whenever you open a terminal, this is a terminal command prompt where you type your command. This is the called terminal command prompt or command prompt. So there are two kinds of users in Linux: normal user and root user. What is the who is the user? Now currently logged in is who am I? Root. Root is equivalent to administrator in Linux operating system. Administrator in Windows is called as root. Okay. And there are other users also. Other users are connected like this. SU means switch user. Connected user is Rajesh. Rajesh is a normal user. Normal users are not admin user. You can see the change of terminal. Terminal you can see. Command prompt has changed. Previously it was showing the command prompt as root@server3 at hash. Hash implies whenever you see hash at the command prompt, that means by default you are logged in as admin. If you see the command prompt as $, as you can see Rajesh server 3, if you see the command prompt as $, means the user who am I, which I am actually seeing, is Rajesh, is a normal user. The prompt changes whenever the user connecting is a root user or admin or a normal user. Got the answer, Dilip? Dilip, got the answer? It hash and $ represent different kind of user. Hash means admin user or root. $sign means it is a normal user. Okay, Dilip? So now we got to see. Okay, now we got to see what are the things. Now tomorrow or Monday, whenever the next class starts, which will we are going to see what is the OS installation, because without OS install we can't work. So first thing, in order to install OS, because we are not installing a server or real time or any company or wherever you are doing, we are going to install on a VM. But means we have to match minimum requirements for the OS to be installed. Without that, OS cannot be installed, right? Okay, what are the minimum installation requirements? See here, we need the Intel or AMD based processor. Minimum Pentium 4 processor. Any processor of any clock, minimum Pentium 4 or any single core processor is required. Apart from that, 512 MB of RAM is see, operating system can be installed in two ways. CUI based installation is there, GUI based installation. If you are installing CUI based, means in text mode you are installing the operating system, we need at least 512 MB of RAM. If you are installing operating system using GUI, at least 1 GB of RAM is required. and hard disk space is also 10 GB is required for text or COA based installation, and 15 GB of installation GB of hard disk space for GUI based. These are minimum requirement. Doesn't mean that this is the required thing, but better if you, these are the minimum thing, but better if you have at least 2 to 4 GB of RAM and hard disk space of 30 GB. Okay, Dilip, getting?
Getting.
Okay, Surendra, what about you, man? You are not talking. Surendra, talk, unmute and talk, man. Are you ready?
Hello, sir.
You're getting?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm getting, sir.
Okay, now we got to understand minimum requirements. OS install करने के लिए minimum requirements क्या है? Okay, so we have seen the minimum requirements, and for the OS to install, okay, main thing, how the OS to install, there is a difference between installing a Windows operating system and a Linux operating system, and how the Linux operating system is maintaining the hierarchy, how the file system of the Linux operating system different. That we are going to see it now. Okay. And Monday we are going to see the installation. How is the Windows operating system installation and Windows operating system file system hierarchy different from Linux operating system file system hierarchy is what we are going to see it now. See here. Okay. See here. As you can see here, this is the Windows operating system installation. No, right? See here, right? Surendra, is this the Linux operating system? How it is actually arranged? Files and directories in the Linux of Windows operating system arranged, right?
Yes.
We have C drive. Okay. In C drive, we are having Windows folder, program files folder, documents and settings. Right, right? No? Whenever you install a Windows operating system, server or any server operating system or desktop operating system from Windows, Windows operating system file system hierarchy look like this. Means under the C drive, see here, this is the C drive. See here, this one. This is the C drive. You can see here, I am highlighting. Okay. Okay. Getting? Okay. C drive. Under C drive, there are Windows folder, documents and settings folder, program and folder. And what is the purpose of a Windows folder? There you have operating system files. Whenever you are installing the operating system, all the operating system required files will be loaded into Windows. See here, I am showing my Windows operating system. See here. See, this is my Windows operating system, Windows 8.1 installed here. C drive is, see here, in the symbol itself, it is showing me, Windows icon is showing here. And it is showing me C drive. Whenever I open this, I can find Windows folder, where all the operating system required files and programs are stored. Okay. There is second folder in the name of program files or program files 86, where application level programs which you install on the Windows operating system will be installed. Okay. Application level program which are installed on the Windows operating systems are shown here. Okay. Windows is the first where operating system files are and application level files are stored here. Later we are actually having one more file that has actually directly in the name of users, where all the user level files are here. This is my name Rajesh Gunda, where my as an admin I am having all my contact, all the desktop of my user Rajesh, who is the admin here, documents, download, other things, video, this all will be there. This is how the Windows operating system. This is how the Windows operating system is installed and configured. Okay. But what is the problem with the Windows operating system is if the C drive corrupts, because all the data, all the folders are in the C drive only. And if the C drive corrupts for any reason, of any hardware problem or software problem, any problem, virus, and C drive corrupt, all the data of the users, because users and groups are also installed here, my own data means admin Rajesh Gunda data, this one, all the data which I am showing here, see, this is my Rajesh data. This data will also be actually saved in C drive. This all will get corrupt. My local data, operating system data gets corrupted because C drive is down. So there is no point I can recover it, right? This is the main problem with the C, Windows operating system files hierarchy. This is the main. There is some. Okay, Dilip, I think you got it. So whenever the C drive corrupts, then everything corrupts, and even the user data, system data, all files are gone. Databases or applications installed, everything is gone. But and any virus problem, anything, there is actually problem. So in C drive, all the thing is that Windows will create a partition like C, and in that partition it creates folders in the format of Windows documents and settings, users and program files, and saves its data. But difference between a Linux file system hierarchy. What is the Linux file system hierarchy? You can see here. This is how the Linux operating system is managed. See, root is called slash. Okay. So Dilip is asking a question. What is WinPub in Windows? This is a directory. WinPub is a directory. Dilip, for you only I'm saying, because you are asking what is the WinPub meaning, which means public users. No, that is not the meaning of the public user. WinPub is a directory where in Windows, if you want to actually configure a web server, if you put the files in that WinPub directory, that will be accessed by the web server. Default location where the Windows web server will check for the file. That is the location for WinPub. Okay, got it, man? Okay, so you got it. So see here, we are actually seeing now. We just saw what Windows file system hierarchy is like this. How the Windows is arranging its files and directories. And one more problem with Windows is Windows has no file level permissions. See here, Windows has folder level permissions only, but Windows doesn't have file level permission. Any file by default, I'm opening my this thing. See, any file here, file level permission. See here in my Windows, I'm showing you. See, there is no file level permissions in Windows. There is no file level permissions in Windows, but there are only directory level permissions in Windows. Okay, directory level only. So, but Linux is secure. Why? I told you in Linux operating system, there are 3 levels of security. I told you. User level security, only authenticated user can access. File level permissions, owner of the file who created that file has the permissions to give to others. Means owner will decide who can read, write and execute. And apart from that, there is another file level security called data encryption. Even if somebody by user password he was able to actually log into system, but without giving the data encryption passwords, he cannot access the data. Data is in the encrypted format. Okay. Now we will see what is the difference between a Linux file system hierarchy and Windows. So here the Linux file system hierarchy is like this. Slash, which is called the inverted tree structure. You can see the hierarchy. It is in the format of inverted tree structure. This is the root. Slash is called root. These are the other directories like root, boot, bin, var, etc, media, home, sbin, usrdep. Then you can tell what is the difference between this Windows file system hierarchy like this and how is this Linux file system hierarchy better. Okay, see here. Okay, see here. I am showing you. Dilip, any doubts, man? Dilip and Surendra, any doubts? You are getting what I'm saying? Surendra,
Yes,
any
sir, I'm
doubts?
getting.
Okay. Now we saw Windows, how the Windows is arranging its files and folders in C drive. And what is the problem? Any corruption in C drive, every data goes. User data goes, OS data goes, and everything goes. But Linux will actually save its data. It actually distributes in data into these many different folders. Folders are partitions. All the folders are under slash. This can be this slash. Here you can see this slash can be called as a equivalent. This slash here, this can be called as a C drive. Like this, I'm writing C drive, right? This is equivalent to C drive. Okay, I'll show you it. I'll show you. Linux file system hierarchy. I'll open in edit mode. Okay. Okay, see here, man. As you can see here, what is this? You can call this part. This is equivalent to C. Okay, C. This is equivalent to, you can call this. This is equivalent to C drive. Okay, this is equivalent to C drive. Okay, after that you can see here there are other folders like root, boot, bin, where, each, and what are the purpose? All the data, though in actually under root, can be actually distributed into different. Okay, this is C drive. So all the data in the drive is actually located like this. See here the Linux file system hierarchy I'm showing. As you can see here, 1 minute. Okay, as you can see here, there are many folders. Where exactly I am? In present working directory under root. There are directories like bin. There are directories like boot. There are directories like dev. All the data is not placed directly under root. It is actually placed under each of the directory. We will see what is the purpose of each of this directory. As you can see, first directory is bin. Okay, when I see in this binary directory, if I open like this, you can see this is the directory. What is the purpose of the bin directory here? Bin directory stands for binary, and it contains all the commands which are executed in the Linux by normal user and admin user. Okay, all the commands cd bin. I am going into the bin directory. As you can see here, this is the command. Different commands are placed here, which are used by a normal user and admin user. What is the purpose of the boot directory? Boot directory contains, which actually contain bootable files and bootloader. Bootable files including kernel, like this. This is the kernel. These are the boot and bootable files like grub2, which is actually the Linux bootloader, Grand Unified Bootloader 2. These files are actually saved into this boot. I am showing you the next thing. There is one more directory called etc. What is the purpose of etc directory? You can see it contains all the different configuration files for different applications. These all files are placed in etc directory like this. Okay, there are other directories like the device. What is the device? Dev stands for device. This contains all the defined device nodes. Device is also all treated as a file in Linux, and all the files defined in the devices are saved here. It can be block special or character special. Okay, so this way Linux is actually distributing its different files into different directories, and instead of installing every partition, instead of installing everything like this Windows and problem, we can install all these directories as a different partition. That way, even if the root file system even this crashes, the root file system corrupt, other data which you actually see here will be secure. Dilip, you got it? What is the difference between the Windows file system and the Linux file system, and how the Linux file system is better? Dilip and Surendra. See, Dilip is asking one more question. No. Dilip is asking one question. Dilip is asking, is it necessary to install all directories, or we can select? See, we are not, these directories which are coming, all the directories come by default. OS install karo, by default aa jate hai. It is not that you are going to select. Suppose you want extra directories, then you can create your user defined directories. These are all required for the operating system to work. Dilip, these are by default created when the operating system is installed, and each directory has a specific purpose. If the root directory is there, /root here, which I am showing here, root directory contains the logging of admin su. Whenever a user login, see here, what is the root directory? I am showing you, see here, control of -2. I am going into virtual. So now here I am logging into root as a root. Root is the user name. Password is also Rajesh because I'm logging. See, I have logged into the server using root. Where does this fellow by default logged in? Present working directory pwd command shows us /root. All the root users, if you they log in into /root, and these are the files by default created there. See, these are the files which are created whenever the OS is installed. Okay, OS is installed. All these files which I have shown you in this hierarchy, all the files in this hierarchy are created by default, either as a folder or either as a partition in that operating system. Okay, Dilip. So now we got to see Windows file system hierarchy and Linux file system hierarchy. Surendra and Dilip. Any doubts, man?
Hello, sir.
Surendra, doubts. Tell me, what is your doubt?
From my side.
No,
Hello.
Tell me, Surendra.
so no doubt, sir.
You got it? What's the difference between a Windows file system hierarchy and Linux? How the Linux file system hierarchy is better?
Yes, sir. Linux file hierarchy is better than Windows.
That is also I'm showing. See, I'm showing you graphically how the OS installation is different. Linux OS installation is different from Windows OS installation. See here. See here, this is the file system hierarchy. Na? See here, I am showing you a new file. See, whenever you are installing in Windows, suppose this is your hard disk. Suppose this is your hard disk. This is hard disk. This is of for Windows. I'm showing you. See here. Okay. Windows OS. Okay. This is hard disk. What is the size of this hard disk? See here. Size is 100 GB. Think this is 100 GB. Okay. First we have to create a partition like this. It will be. You know all these things, but I am showing you. First thing it will be like this. Later it will come C drive. Later will come D drive and other partitions like this. Okay. The first thing will be here. Man, Surendra, mute yourself. Okay. See here. First thing here we will have MBR, master boot record, and partition table. Two things will be here. First thing, this will be taking 512 bytes of data. Okay, 512 bytes of data. Okay. Later will be OS will be installed here. OS will be installed C:drive. Okay. OS will be installed here, and think that OS is having 50 GB data. Okay. Think this is having 50 GB of data. Okay. But under this OS, you will have multiple directories. Under this OS, you will have multiple directories like these things. Multiple directories like first directory. First directory, Windows directory. Okay. Next directory is called, what is that? Next directory, program files. Delete, mute. Okay. Program files. Third directory. What is the third directory? Users. See here. I am showing you users. This directory. What does the Windows directory contains? All operating system OS files. Okay. What is the program files directory contains? All your application programs. Windows application programs which you install, MS Office, all these come into here. What are the users directory? The login directories. Login directory for what is the default? What is the user of user directory? Login directories for different Windows users, right? This is the thing. So in C drive, and you are having other drive also. See here, we are actually think we are having other drive also, D drive. Okay. this can have, what is the space of the disk? Maybe 30 GB. Think this is 30. And here you are having other data. But whenever the C drive is corrupt, all these data goes. This is the main problem. Corrupt means all that. And there is no security here. These are all folders. Windows is a folder. Program files is a folder, and Windows users is a folder. Folder gets corrupt or any virus has attacked, there is lot of problem. So this is the main problem with the Win. Okay. See, this is the main problem. How the Linux operating system is different? See here. Yeah, you have 5 minutes time because I will finish after 5 minutes. Dilip and Surendra. 5 minutes I will take for the Linux operating system I wanted to show you. Is it okay? Surendra,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Dilip. I want
Okay,
to
sir.
take this and then stop. After the Linux file system hierarchy, I wanted to show you how it's different from Windows. I'll then stop. 5 to 10 minutes, okay? Remember. So
Okay.
this is the Windows problem. Now I am going to show how the Linux operating system is installed. See here. So same Linux operating system. First I am showing you Linux OS file hierarchy. Okay. See here. Suppose we are having the same hard disk. Think the same thing. 100 GB hard disk like Windows which you have. The same hard disk which are having. Think this is the 100 GB hard disk. And the same partitions are like this here. First partition, this is the master boot record and where master partition table comes. MBR and PT, which is 512 bytes. Okay, this is 512 bytes by B, which I am writing as B, partition table. First 512 bytes. Later, when you are installing, first we need to install here boot partition. Boot is already separate partition. Boot files are not in the root, under the root file system, boot is installed as a different partition. See here, boot. Okay, what is the size of the boot? Minimum of 200 to 300 MB. Size is more than enough. This is the first partition. In Windows, it is directly C. In Linux, it is boot is the first partition of 300 MB. So this is the primary partition. I am also writing PP. Primary partition means primary partition. PP. After that, if you want, next we have to install. Root. What is the root? Next partition in the format of root. Root is right. Slash is written. That is called root. Okay. What is the size of this root? It can be at least 30 to 40 GB, like this. Okay, after that you can install remaining partition size, then also you can install other things. You can actually create here other partitions also, like extended partitions. First create extended partition in these files. This is extended. See here, I'm writing extended partition. Okay, which is the partition? 40 GB. After 40 GB being used, partition of size 40 GB, because 100 GB hard disk, 60 GB is like this. You can also this. In this extended partition, we can create other partitions also, like first thing, swap you can create. Okay, here I am going to create swap is like virtual memory in Windows. You know, Windows virtual memory is called swap. Here in Linux, it's called swap. Okay, what is the size of swap? It is actually twice. Recommended size is 2 times RAM. Okay, RAM I've written 2 times RAM size of the system. Later, remaining partitions, as you can see here, I wanted to show you file system hierarchy. As you can finish under boot, boot has been installed as a different partition, which I am showing here, boot, and my mouse pointer see boot. Remaining I gave to root. We can actually install other partitions as a different thing. Home you can create. See here. Now next partition. What is the next partition here? You can actually create home also as a different partition, not under slash. This is home. HOME. And size of the home partition maybe at least 10 GB. What is the thing is that even the root partition crashes. This root partition catches. But home being a different partition where the user's data is there, like user's data in Windows, home is equivalent to user's part. Home is equivalent to this partition, this users. Here I am showing you that is equivalent to home here in Linux. If the root partition crashes, also home data is there. You can also create other partitions also, like where contains variable information, has a different partition, not under root. Okay, where variable information, what can be claimed, what 10 GB, like this. So even if the root partition crashes where the OS is there, remaining home directory, where directory and extra directory will still remain. This is not a problem. This way Linux operating system is better than Windows operating system file system hierarchy. Getting detailed. How it is different from Windows and Linux? Surendra, Dilip, answer.
Yes, sir, I'm getting.
Now getting the Windows you install in a single partition and each data is saved in the format of folders. Linux you can actually save different partitions. Even if one partition gets corrupt, other data still be recoverable. Dilip, answer. Dilip,
Sir,
answer.
understood.
So now you got to
understood, sir.
understand difference between a Windows partitioning style and Linux partitioning style, and how Linux is better. Even root crashes, no problem, recoverable. Home directory crashes, data is still there, can be actually accessed. Where will be there? Like this, you can actually create different file systems in different partitions. But in Windows, everything is created under a single C drive. If one drive gets crashes or some problem with the virus or other thing, all the data goes. There is no security to data here. Here in Linux, the data partitions are spaced in different locations. This way, we are actually having problem in one partition, but data in other partition is safe. Getting?
Yeah, yeah.
Dilip? Okay, Dilip. How was the class? Informative?
Yeah, informative. Sir, another one is, see, we are installing through VMware. So there
Yes,
is
yes, we are
GUI.
doing.
So when we want to configure in servers, so there will be no GUI, and we have to fix the same process will be there also, or we have to make any changes in that also.
No, man, this is the VMware software. This is the VMware workstation. See here, I'll just show you. So we can install just like this. See here, I'm just showing how to actually set up the VMware. I think you know this. I think, na? Dilip, you know.
Yeah,
I think
I
you
know,
have.
sir.
There is nothing, man. Just install VMware software. After this, go to this new virtual machine, and you just go next. That automatically you have to give other options after that. Anyway, don't worry. On Monday, I am going to show you Linux. I am going to brush up all these topics again, which I have covered today, and we will start with OS installation and how to actually. And we are going to see the file system hierarchy of Linux practically on Monday.
Okay, I mean,
Tell me.
see, we are installing through GUI, right? I mean, in virtual machine. So we are configuring. So in server side, we can't do this.
Wait, man. See, Linux operating system. See here, if you want to see, Linux operating system can be installed in two ways. Okay, two ways.
Okay.
GUI based installation can be done. CUI based or character user interface can be done. I wanted to show you. I'll just show you. See here. See here. How do I start with the CUI based installation? You wanted to see, na? See here.
Okay, sir.
Something I've given the names of this. See, 1 GB of data memory I'm taking. NAT I'm selecting. This is the thing. This is the thing. Later, this comes 120 GB I'm taking so that I'll space a single file. We can do GUI based installation Linux series. See here. Now see, I have created a setup, VMware setup in order to install CUI base. See, whenever I am switching power on my virtual machine, you can see here what happens. You can see here. When I am switching power on my virtual machine, you can see here. See, it is booting. Now it is asking you want to install. Whenever you come here, if you want to install in text mode, give escape. Give escape. See, here boot na, boot has come. Now here na, getting.
Yeah.
There you type Linux text or text like this and enter. CUI based installation takes care.
Okay.
No, you don't want graphical. You want graphical installation. Suppose you want graphical, you go back and just install graphical. You know this?
Okay. Yeah, I know.
You know, no, graphical and CUI. How to actually install in graphical? How to install in CUI?
I
CUI
know through
installation.
graphical, but
CUI also
I
can be
don't
done.
know. So
This is how. Just when the boot screen comes to install, there you give escape button, press the escape button, then comes into boot. Here you type Linux text something, enter, and the character CUI based installation takes. And one more thing, advantage of Linux is you can install in GUI CUI. Why CUI means now this is a system which supports graphical settings. This is our latest system. What if I am installing on same Linux operating system on 20 years or 30 years old server which doesn't support GUI? Then you have to compulsory install CUI only.
yeah.
Now you're getting when should I install GUI and CUI? CUI also takes the same thing, GUI also same thing. But the process of installation or selecting the options is different. But whenever you are actually given a server which is supports CUI only, no graphical option, then compulsory you have to boot using CUI only or install using CUI only. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So to Monday we are going to start with the Linux installation. Apart from that, we are going to see what are the minimum file system requirement. Yes, you asked me, Dilip. Dilip, you asked me what do I need to install all the. Dilip has asked me, do I need to install all the directories or we have to install few directories? That day I am going to show you all these things, man. Dilip, you are asking if you want necessary to install all the directories or only few directories. I will show you when the installation operating system takes place, what is the base installation. See here, I already made the notes of it. See here. This we are going to show you on that day. See, recommended partitions or installation for CentOS 7 Server Edition. See here. Dilip,
Yes,
can you
sir.
see here? Core installation, we need
Yes, sir.
3 partitions. See, core installation, 3 partitions. Recommended installation for enterprise requires these many partitions. And these many different folders are required compulsory to be created as a different partition, not as a folder. Okay.
Yes, sir.
On that installation day, I'm going to show you all these things. Okay. How was the class? Dilip, any feedback?
Yes, sir. It's
Dilip,
informative. I'm fine.
you're getting what I'm saying? Is it informative or
Yes,
you
sir.
think anything missing? Any data missing or information missing you're thinking?
No, sir. It's up to the mark. And if I'm having any doubt also, I will inform you.
Ask it. Right. You are always
Yeah.
welcome. Surendra, how was the class? Any feedback? Surendra,
Sir,
Yes, sir.
sir, for me, it would be more betterful if you, if you say on RHEL because I want to keep certification.
man, I will show you. See, RHEL center is same, man. Nothing different. Only the screen. This screen opens, na. See this one. This
Okay.
screen controller. This screen. As you can see here, only difference is the screen. The desktop screen changes. RHEL 7 and CentOS 7 are ditto same copy. You can take the configuration file created in CentOS, post it to RHEL 7 and execute. It executes without any issue. Same thing. Difference between RHEL and CentOS is this one. I showed you. Problem is we get in etc. See, these repositories will work for free in CentOS. In RHEL, these repositories will not work. You have to pay for these repositories. That is the only difference. If you want to pay and use, we don't have license. So main problem. Remaining everything is same. Installation procedure, ditto. There is no difference. You can even Google it. You can actually Google it if there is a difference between CentOS and RHEL. I want to only learn RHEL. You will get the answer. Okay.
Sir,
Surendra, everything is same. Don't be in two dilemma that RHEL is different, CentOS is different. Ditto same. Thing is that CentOS everything is free. In RHEL, CD packages which are coming in the CDs, packages in the CDs will be free. Packages and applications are free. Remaining packages if you want to download, see here. This see here, M update. You want to update the whole OS. One command, yum update is the command to update whole OS. See here what happens. See here. What happens in CentOS? This will run perfectly. In Linux, if you want to on RHL, if you run this the same command, it will ask please register and then pay. Then only you can update. That is the difference. So we are using, instead of RHL, we are using CentOS. Getting?
Sir, I'm getting.
That is the only difference. Why we are switching from RHL to CentOS is CentOS is totally free. Updates, packages, anything can be downloaded for free and installed. RHL basic packages which are coming with the CD are free. Remaining thing you have to pay and use. Without this, some applications may not work. So if you take the configuration file of this CentOS, place it in RHL, it works the same. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Surendra, are you getting, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ah,
See,
sir.
now these packages are being updated. See, now it will show you. I'll update. These are not free in This is free in CentOS. CentOS stands for Community Enterprise Linux Operating System. RHL is Red Hat Enterprise Linux Operating Systems. Both are Enterprise Linux Operating System. Ditto copy. But only thing is CentOS, everything is free. Packages, updatable packages from online repositories also free. RHL you have to pay for the license, otherwise it will not allow you. This is not possible. This command yum update is not possible in RHL without license. Okay, you can download RHL, you can install it, you can run it, whatever packages freely coming in that CD you can install. But remaining packages, if you want any update for the packages, you want to subject new application, that will not be free. That's why we are using, everybody uses CentOS. The only reason being CentOS is totally free, RHL you have to pay. Okay, Surendra.
Okay, sir.
Okay, shall I end the class, Dilip?
Yes, sir.
Surendra, I'm ending the class. Monday will be the class. Monday is very important. We are going to see the installation and how the installation is different from Windows operating system and all the different file system hierarchy. And I showed you like this. I showed you here what is the use of each and every directory. See, here this file system hierarchy is like this. And I will show you on Monday after installation of operating system what is the use of root directory, what is the installation purpose of boot directory, what is the bin directory, where directory, everything will be shown on Monday. Very important. Okay. See you, man. Good night.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Hello, sir.
Tell me, Surendra.
Sir, basic command teach you, no, sir. Basic command Linux.
Yes, all the things I'll teach you. First, I will show you installation of operating system so that you can
Okay,
work in
sir.
your house. After the installation, I will show you how the file system hierarchy of these things, how the file systems are arranged, Windows and Linux, how they are arranged. After that, I will show you, start with the basic commands like pwd, cat, va, everything will be shown. Later, one level, we are going to increase to new topics. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, don't worry, everything will come, nothing will be missed, and everything will be taken very clearly. Are you satisfied with the class?
Yes, sir. Sir. Yes, sir. I'm satisfied,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, don't worry. If you want, you are specific that RHL only required, I'll show you RHL. Otherwise, CentOS also will work. Okay.
Okay, sir.
See you then. Good night, man.
Good night.